Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Disclaimer, this was not an easy story to read. It's quite strong. The trigger warning is grooming, so if you're not comfortable with that topic, you might want to skip this video. Also, I apologize beforehand if I babble too much during the commentary, but I try to be as authentic as possible when I do that, and I don't prepare it beforehand. That's just my natural reaction to the story. So now let's get on with the story. This one's from user Anon, not my personal ac. How do I, female 21, tell my little sisters, female 16, 14, 14, and 8, the real reason I'm moving out without bashing my parents? My mom had me at 18 right out of high school. Long story short, my dad died at 19 while he was away at uni. Then my mom remarried at 21 and had my sisters. My stepdad, we'll call him Scott, was the only father I've known. He's been a great father, nothing out of the ordinary, absolutely perfect parenting until I turned about 19. I remember Scott was becoming a little more touchy than normal and a little too personal. He would offer me wine, I declined, and would ask me about my sex life after one too many glasses. I brushed it off because I thought maybe he was being a nosy father and just wanted to make sure his daughter wasn't sleeping around. Then this kind of stuff continued to the point where my stepdad tried to kiss me last year. I told my mom and she just laughed and told me that's how he gets after too many drinks. I knew then I had to make plans to leave, so I started saving up. After that incident, things died down a bit until my mom got pregnant at 39. It's a higher risk pregnancy, so she's on a lot of bed rest and taking extra care of herself per her doctor's instructions. A couple weeks ago, my mom and Scott sat me down and told me her doctor said she should avoid intimacy during her pregnancy, due to various health reasons I won't get into. They asked me if I could be the one to sleep with Scott just until my mom was able to do it again. Of course I said no. I was livid. I was crying. She told me she'd be okay with it and she'd be in the room as well. I told her that was even worse. Like, what are they thinking? I have enough money now for an apartment. I got approved. I'm signing my lease next week. My parents are ignoring me and the whole house is full of tension. My younger sisters don't understand what's going on and my mom told me not to say anything. But my sisters are smart. They know something is really up and won't stop asking me about it, especially the oldest. She came to me crying today and told me I better tell her what's going on right now. I didn't say anything. So, any advice? What do I tell her? What do I say to the youngest ones? How do I tell a 16-year-old about this without being inappropriate or bashing my parents? Oi, OP, this is... I can't find a word to describe the situation because it's effed up. This is an effed up situation. I don't know if there's another word for this. I mean, what is your mom and your stepdad? What are they thinking? This is kind of like grooming, except your mom is on board, which is incredibly weird that they would ask this of you. It's gross. Regarding your question of how do you tell your sisters, I honestly don't know how I would do it. All I would do is try to get some help and try to get my sisters out of that place. Get the authorities involved. I don't know if you can call the cops or call CPS and tell them what happened to you and that you're worried about your sisters. Honestly, I don't think bashing your parents is the thing that you need to be worried the most about in this situation. In my opinion, your top priority should be getting those kids out of that house now. But of course, that's just my opinion. How do you guys feel about this whole situation? Of course, I know you're gonna condemn it, but what would you do in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and in the meantime, let's go to the community comments to see what kind of advice they gave OP. Phoebe1 Kenobi says, you need to call CPS. Actually, those are children who are growing up in the same family intimacy abuse environment. He needs to be away from you and your younger sisters. I'm sorry you're going through this. OP responds, my aunt actually called them last year when he tried to kiss me. The case was closed after 2 months. They just suggested I move out if I was so uncomfortable. My aunt wants to call again after what happened. She most likely will, which I feel bad because my sisters have to go through that whole process again. Little Greens says, bashing your parents would be unfairly putting them down for something benign. What they've done is wrong and sick on so many levels. Forget about not wanting to be inappropriate because it's more important to prevent you and them from dealing with more abuse. It is highly likely that your other sisters will be subjected to this if they have not already, and they are younger and more easily victimized. You could speak to your teen sisters privately and ask them if they have had any uncomfortable experiences with your stepdad, like him talking too much about intimacy or making advances, and make it clear that you are a safe person to confide in. I would also reach out to a trusted family member or someone you can ask for help from. OP responds, last year when he tried to kiss me, CPS interviewed all the girls and the girls were very confused because their dad has never said or done anything to them inappropriately. My aunt, who is a child therapist and called CPS to begin with, talked to each girl and said there were no signs of foul play, which upset her because she really hates Scott, but made her happy because he's done nothing to them. CPS said it was like a roommate complaining about sexual assault since I'm not his biological daughter. My aunt has been fighting to make my mom leave for years, but since Scott is not abusive to her or the girls and makes a lot of money, she won't leave. But my aunt has actually mentioned he's been manipulating her with kindnesses all these years, so she would be okay with him having sex with me when I became an adult, and it worked. My aunt and I don't think he's going to hurt the other girls, but you never know. We most likely will call child services again. Krongdong69 says, your sisters deserve to know. If they've asked you to have sex with him, they'll have no problem asking them to, and they won't have an older sibling to turn to. Probably not your 8-year-old sister, but definitely tell the older ones. Wow. First of all, what's up with CPS? I mean, they could have called the authorities, they could have called the cops or something, or told OP to go somewhere to complain, to set up something that says, hey, this dude is hitting on me, he's trying to do something, it's not right. I mean, just because he's not the biological father, he raised her, he knew her since she was little, he's the only father figure she's ever known. What's up, man? This is so effed up. Also, you need to do something about your mom. She needs to get out of that fog. I mean, he's got her under control apparently. He's been buying her out for years so that he can groom you and then get you to bed. That is just beyond sick. But of course, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think so far? While you give that a thought, let's move on with the update to see how this story finished. My aunt did what she was going to do. She barged in with 3 other people, one of them a social worker friend of hers, who was off duty, and my uncle. None of them are allowed at the house, so as soon as Scott found out they were there, he called the police. Before the police even showed up, I told my 16-year-old and the 14-year-old what happened. The 16-year-old got angry at her dad. She was walking around the house ranting at her dad and crying. Eventually, she decided to come with my aunt and I, and then we would figure out where she could go from then on. However, the 2 14-year-olds did not believe me. They actually started laughing. Then they got angry and told me I was trying to destroy our family and how could you make up a sick lie? It got to the point where they threw my and my 16-year-old sister's stuff out the window. By that time, the cops came and told my aunt, uncle, and the social worker they had to leave the property. The social worker friend let the cops know everything that's been going on. The cops didn't care. They just cared about the noise and the trespassers. So I, my 16-year-old sister, my aunt and uncle and their friend left. Very soon after, my grandparents came and got the other 3 girls, after the 14-year-old called them and came to their senses. I found out through my grandma that one of the 14-year-olds confronted her dad and he didn't deny anything. In fact, he called me a floozy and said I should not have had any problems doing what he asked. That's when they packed a bag and called my grandparents. My grandparents explained everything separately to the little one. She told my grandpa she prefers him to our dad because grandpa doesn't yell at her. As much as that pained me, I hope it's enough to keep the girls at my grandparents for good. My 16-year-old sister is going to emancipate herself and stay with either our grandparents or our aunt. CPS was called, but it was my grandparents this time. I have multiple screenshots on my and my aunt's phone of my mother incriminating herself, so we will be able to file charges and hopefully get Scott on the sex offender registry. That way the girls can stay at their grandparents permanently. Thank you all for the support. I appreciate each and every one of your comments, and to the survivors who shared their stories, you are all so strong. Thank you. OP, you, your aunt, and your grandparents have done a great thing, but it's just the start. This hasn't ended here. Now you need to keep going until your sisters are absolutely safe and your stepdad and your mom face what they should face from the law. The thing that really has my head spinning right now is that, yeah, we know people like Scott exist, sickos that do that kind of stuff. Men, women, it doesn't really matter. There's sick creeps out there that do this kind of preying on young people thing. But like I said, what really has me in shock is that your mom was in on it. Your mom was okay with this happening and she was trying to get you to do it. She said she would be in the room. So what? So that it wouldn't be awkward? It is still gross. Honestly, I cannot wrap my head around what your mom was doing. However, the good thing is that you were able to stand up to both of them, get help, and you got your sisters out of that house. So good for you, OP. Now you gotta keep staying strong for all your sisters because they're gonna need your help now that the real process is going to start. So all the best in that, and take care, OP. And so we've reached the end of the video. I truly hope you liked it. If you did, leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe to reach our goal of 100,000 subscribers. Also, if you feel like chatting with others from this community, you can always join my Discord server and check out my subreddit. I'll leave the links in the description. And I'll see you guys in the next video.